Alright, welcome gamers to another Cargo Kings review. Today we're going to be reviewing Clone Wars Season 7. This is the end to a great TV show that we've been watching a long time. And it's been a long time coming to finally see the ending. So it's pretty great. Here today is me, the Genie, Gabe Frayne,
Hey.
and Jeremy Kingzing.
Kingzing.
So overall, this has been a pretty great season 7 ending, and we just want to talk about what we liked about it, what we didn't like about it, and so on. So let's get right into it. The first part of Clone Wars season 7 was the first 4 episodes, which were about a group of clones called the Bad Batch, and they going along with Cody, Jesse, and Rex, and then eventually Anakin Skywalker. They went to a on this top secret mission to go save ARC Trooper Echo, who they had recently seen die. So they went on this mission, and during this mission they save Echo, and it turned out they were using him to the CIS was using him for finding out the Republic's battle strategies and stuff like that. So it was kind of like a really cool episode, being that we didn't know that Echo was alive, and after he had made this big sacrifice to save Obi-Wan and Anakin and Ahsoka back in the last season, I think back in season 6, it was cool to see him come back. So first we want to talk about what do we like about the episode. So I think first is just some really cool set pieces. Again, and if you guys want to say anything while I'm talking, just pipe in. So first, there's really cool set pieces. I think the action was really good. Just with the Bad Batch in general, they were kind of just really cool clone squadron. They went in and they had these fight scenes with these droids where they had there was one of the people in the Bad Batch who was really big, and they had these crazy scenes where he's just punching droids in the face.
Yeah.
It was just overall pretty cool. I'd say just the way they set up the action. Even some scenes where they were flying on these lizards.
Mm-hmm. I really liked the whole Bad Batch arc. It was kind of I remember seeing on the comments of some posts and some videos about it that people didn't like how the core of the Bad Batch, which was, I think there was 4 or 5 of them, they were saying it was kind of cliche. They kind of had these kind of typecast roles, where one's the muscle, the brawn. They had the hacker.
Yeah.
They had the sniper, the leader.
Yeah.
But it's hard to keep in mind that a lot of these episodes are written a long time ago, and even then the characters are still really fun to watch.
Yeah, just because it's a classic archetype doesn't mean it's not entertaining. And to be honest, it's kind of a breath of fresh air in the Star Wars universe to get a character who does fit a recognizable archetype, because I feel like they're always trying to push the limits and try to set things up so we have a new character that is kind of more diverse or whatever. And a lot of times I find that these characters aren't as relatable. I'm not saying they're bad, but not as relatable. And maybe even though these characters are more cliche, I just find them a little more relatable. And that's personally, or just understandable, I guess.
Right.
And yeah. So and overall, they were cool. They were all cool.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's not much else to say about them. Overall, cool characters, cool set pieces. Maybe a little cheesy, but yeah. And then also, it was awesome to see Echo gain freedom and join the Bad Batch. I don't know if you wanted to say anything.
Yeah, it was cool to see him because, obviously being an ARC Trooper, which I believe he's an ARC Trooper, right?
Mm-hmm.
Echo was? Yeah. You have the ability to do almost anything within your legal rights, I would say. If you're an ARC Trooper, you can almost beat up anybody. So he goes from this, big bad ARC Trooper to being pretty much enslaved by the CIS, almost being like a mindless zombie. and Rex kind of gives him the option, which at the end I really liked. That he kind of has the free will to choose his own destiny, what he wants to do. And Rex at the end of Echo's arc gives him the option to join the Bad Batch, which he ends up taking that option.
Yeah,
which I really liked.
It's thematically impressive that, like you said, in the beginning of Clone Wars, you follow Echo and his squadron, and they go from being a very like awful set of clone troopers, like they can't even get through training, to being at the highest rank. It's like they've earned this rank, and having him go from he is a slave to being fully redeemed. Like now, not only is he an ARC trooper again, but now he's like in a free reigning like squadron, being the Bad Batch. So it comes full circle, pretty, and it was overall pretty good way to end his character.
Yeah, I also really like how they deemed Bad Batch's squad number 99, kind of going after Clone Trooper 99, who kind of had a direct impact on the Domino Squad, kind of, developing themselves and being able to overcome really hard obstacles that a lot of clones couldn't.
Yeah, overall it's pretty cool. This is a pretty cool arc. But that was only the first 4 episodes. And so they went from there to the Marquez sisters, or Martez sisters. So the Martez sisters was a arc where Ahsoka, it immediately starts with right after when Ahsoka left the Jedi Order. And essentially she just goes and she helps these sisters out. And ultimately they end up on this mission where they're delivering spice from Kessel, and then on their way to the delivery, it turns out that they're delivering this spice to the Pike Syndicate, which is a crime group. During this time, Ahsoka's been hiding that she's a Jedi, but as a Jedi, she takes the moral high ground and says that this is like completely wrong, like that you shouldn't be delivering spice to criminals who might use it for bad. And then the sister is like, well, I'm just trying to pay off my debts, right? And then, of course, in this scene, one of the really kind of like awkward things that happened was the other sister, Trace, I think it was freaking out because she didn't want the crime bosses to like take her ship, so she literally just dumped the spice. So then they have all these like scenes where they like get captured in prison, and then they're trying to escape. And ultimately they escape and like whatnot, but it was kind of like an awkward like 4 episodes that didn't really connect to the 4 episodes before this, and really only served to get Ahsoka to the last sequence of episodes, which we'll talk about in a minute. So I guess first, what we liked about it. I think what I liked about it is it kind of solidified in these episodes. Ahsoka's character was reinforced. Like, it would have been very easy to let the sisters just kind of live their life and be criminals and deliver the spice, but instead she like took the moral high ground while being annoying and kind of like petty. It was good, I feel like, for her character because she remained true to herself and her values.
Yeah, I think it definitely made Ahsoka a better character because she was, throughout the whole time kind of trying to prove herself not as a Jedi. Trying to see, what she can do without using the Force. Also, because, the Martez sisters kind of have an emotional history when it comes to Jedi, so she was trying to be more sensitive with that. And you kind of see how good she is even without using her Force powers.
And that's a good point about with them being sensitive about the Jedi. They're in their backstory essentially. They're afraid of or not afraid of, but they don't like the Jedi because when they were kids, the Jedi like redirected some sort of falling ship that was going to kill a bunch of people into their house, and it killed their parents. And I personally think that part of it, I'm like, that's not a very good reason to hate the Jedi. Like, you saved all those people. They couldn't have known that your parents were gonna get killed or whatever. But at the same time, the Jedi didn't do anything for them. They didn't offer them any help. They didn't like give them some sort of financial or whatever kind of help. They just like left them as orphans. And for that reason, distinctly, that's why they hate the Jedi. So it's like, and then at the end of the arc, they even said to Ahsoka, like, Jedi should be like you. And I think while these characters in this specific arc, I find very like quirky or just trying too hard to be funny, and honestly just not very well written characters at all. This is the redeeming part of the arc, is how it they're kind of trying to show like how regular people view the Jedi during the time of the fall, and how Ahsoka's perspective on it and her experiences, like how that all kind of interacts. People really don't like the Jedi, and and for the same reasons that Ahsoka left the Jedi. So I think it actually, in that aspect, was kind of cool.
Yeah, my probably only defense for the Martez sisters would be like that they literally live in a hole in Coruscant, and they don't see much of like the outside world. All they hear is like rumors about the Jedi, and then their first actual interaction with a Jedi was literally the death of their parents, and all that Jedi did was say, I had to make a choice, but the Force will be with you. Like, I would be kind of triggered and a little pissed, especially with the death of my parents, you know.
But they were still kind of annoying characters.
I agree.
Right, and I don't know, there's not really much you can do about that. But at the end of the day, the biggest reason why this like arc wasn't the best is not because of how terrible it was. Like, it was okay, it was all right, but it was a huge waste of time. They gave us 12 episodes in this final, or maybe 13, 12 or 13 episodes. And for them, the first 4 started out great. So these great, awesome action-packed episodes, and then they go into this ridiculous 4-episode long thing about these two sisters who add nothing to the overall story. Like, this is the finale, you know, this isn't a regular episode in the season. There's not 20 episodes in the season. We have limited amount of time, and instead of focusing on like what's going on with the Bad Batch and Echo, or what's going on with Wolf, or what was the other clone that survived Order 66, all the big events that are about to happen, all the clones that are tied into it, we're not learning about any of these things. We're just talking about these sisters and their stupid thing. And the only reason why is so that we can see Ahsoka get introduced back to the Jedi Order, or just back to the Jedi in the 501st for the finale. Alright, so the next thing that happened was the finale arc. And in this arc, Bo-Katan came and found Ahsoka on the planet with the two sisters, and she took her and they went to the Jedi, and they asked for help so they could go to Mandalore and stop Darth Maul, who had taken over Mandalore. So that had some discrepancies, but then they finally were able to go there. Anakin was reunited with Ahsoka. Ahsoka got her lightsabers back. Blah, 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 blah. So then they go to Mandalore, and there's this huge siege, and at the end of it, Ahsoka confronts Darth Maul, and Darth Maul starts to reveal what he knows about the Emperor, about Order 66. He doesn't say everything, but he starts to talk about it a little. And it turns out this whole entire siege, the whole entire everyone attacking and taking over Mandalore, it was all a bait by Maul to get Obi-Wan and Anakin to come to Mandalore so he could kill Anakin, to stop Darth Sidious, Emperor Palpatine, stop him from taking over the galaxy, because he knew that Darth Vader was a big major part of that, and it couldn't be done without him. So that was the huge plan from Maul, and of course that was thwarted by the fact that there was a siege over Coruscant. by the Separatists at that time, so they didn't come, and then Ahsoka came instead. So from there, it went to Ahsoka and the clones capture Maul, and they're flying back. And while they're flying back, Order 66 is commenced, and this is when it gets crazy. So all the clones start to try to kill Ahsoka, and there's this insane scene where Rex is like crying and he's about to kill Ahsoka, and of course Ahsoka like gets away and she incapacitates Rex, and then takes his inhibitor chip out, and then for the rest of the episode it's essentially about how Darth Maul, Rex, and Ahsoka are trying to get off the ship while all the clones are trying to kill them. And they're not necessarily working together, but they're all just trying to get off the ship. And at the very end, they get off the ship, and Maul gets off the ship separately, and they have they set up what would you call a mural, or they set up some sort of, what would you call that, like a
tribute.
A tribute. Yeah, a tribute to all the clones who were on the ship, who they had to kill, and everything that had happened. And then at the very end, of course, Darth Vader comes in. It like fast forwards in time. Darth Vader comes in and picks up Ahsoka's lightsaber, and you have this emotional moment. So that was a big mouthful, but I guess let's start off with the goods. First, Rex crying when trying to kill Ahsoka. Did either of you cry when you saw this scene?
I nearly did. I think there was another scene with Rex crying where you see all of his brothers down at the main hangar bay waiting for Rex and Ahsoka to get down there so that they can pretty much kill him. And
right.
Rex doesn't want to obviously kill his clone brothers, but he knows that he doesn't have an option.
Right.
He knows there's pretty much no hope for them, and either he's not making it out of that ship alive, or they're not making it out of that ship alive. So Ahsoka pretty much takes off his helmet, and you can see he's got tears in his eyes.
Yeah.
Trying to convince Ahsoka.
The emotional weight was good.
Oh, it was really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really liked, kind of the humanization of the clones throughout the whole series, which is pretty much the whole point of it. But I thought it was really well done, especially in this episode.
Yeah. Especially because the first time when he was trying to kill Ahsoka and that tear was coming out, he had the chip in his brain. Like, he was so conflicted. He couldn't control himself, but he still felt the weight of his decisions. And it kind of like shows you, like, it adds to the movies too, because as they're killing all those Jedi in Revenge of the Sith, that's how they felt.
Yeah, and just the emotional strength of Rex to hold himself back before he started firing and tell Ahsoka about fives, to potentially like at least save like Rex and possibly more clones. It's just insane. To be able to hold back from literally being forced to kill Jedi.
Possibly a highlight. Possibly the highlight of the episode. Probably one of the most the scene that carried maybe the most weight or the second most weight. Another thing that we liked about this episode was the fights. Again, Siege of Mandalore, awesome. Really cool scenes with them flying around with awesome scenes with them flying around with jetpacks, like shooting. It was super cool. But what's better than that is Ahsoka and Maul's fight was really sick. They really did a good job. It was prequel-esque, to say the least.
Yeah, I agree.
Next, Maul was a great around character. I think one of the things when people talk about Maul coming back is some criticisms that he's just fan service. He's really not. Maul came in Phantom Menace and was one of the coolest villains, and it really sucked to see him go so fast. The Clone Wars, from beginning to ending in this now, made him a more a sophisticated character with weaknesses and strengths, that more emotion. He was a stronger and just overall better character. Now when you watch him in Phantom Menace, it makes him a better character to know all the things that are going to happen to him in the future. I think that's like a great testament too, especially when you have fan service in like the movies, like with Darth Sidious, where it's essentially just baseless. You're just adding this character, just to have him killed and potentially undo everything that happened in the movies before. I feel like this was a very careful, well articulated way of bringing this character into this, and just I don't know, adding to the Star Wars universe.
Yeah, also like just the fan service aspect of bringing in Ray Park again to just fill out all the animation and make that battle just as amazing as possible.
Yeah. I saw some behind the scenes too, and it was pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely.
I think, along with what Gabe said earlier about the emotional weight of everything on Rex, that was also felt. One other notable part of that I would like to point out is when Rex had to kill Jesse, or when he was like in a shootout with Jesse. I don't know if he actually had to kill him specifically, but that was just, I think, another thing I'd like to point out. And then, lastly, the Darth Vader scene was really, really, really good. I guess they didn't. It's not that complicated of a scene, but I think what makes it really good is just that they decided to add it. They didn't need to have Darth Vader in at the end. They could have just ended it, but having him come in at the end, hold Ahsoka's lightsaber. I definitely have seen memes on the internet. People are talking about crying when that happened. Is maybe the most emotional scene in the whole series right there. And lastly, I think all the clones, they had painted their helmets to look like Ahsoka's natural birthmarks on her face, and that just had a lot of weight in it when they were trying to kill Ahsoka. Like watching, like they have this dedication to her, and then they're having to kill her. Overall, just a lot of emotional weight in this episode. And is there anything else you guys want to add?
No, I mean, I guess there is. I mean, I just that last scene, I think was just, just fantastic to watch. And honestly, it kind of shows that, a lot of times you don't need words to explain something. And I've seen different videos on those last scenes with Darth Vader and with Ahsoka and all the clones that she buried.
Yeah.
They were saying that, Dave Filoni kind of wants it just to be up to your interpretation of what you kind of think what was going through their minds, Darth Vader's and Ahsoka's. And, to me, I think that whole scene with Ahsoka kind of symbolizes, the end of the Clone Wars, and the end of the Clone Trooper. I mean, obviously clones were still alive after Order 66.
Yeah.
They all kind of turned into more Stormtrooper acts, but I think to me it kind of symbolized the end of the Clone Trooper and the start of a Stormtrooper, and that kind of the end of an era for the Clone Wars.
Yeah, I agree. So, bads, really the only criticism is that it was just short. And we'll say a little bit more about that. Our overalls for the whole season, great visuals. They improved a lot. They used CGI for some things, motion capture, so it's very good. It was very thematically good. Like we were talking about all the emotional weight to different scenes, the archetypes of certain characters, things like that. The fights were very good. Like I said, it was motion captured some, so that they felt very real in comparison to some of the older seasons fights. The music was really good. I don't know if Kevin Kiner was still in charge of the music in this one, but it went away from just trying to be like kind of knock off a Star Wars orchestra music to really trying to be very emotional, very weighty, like kind of original music. I really like that. Great way to end the characters. Just an overall, enough said. It tied into the movies really well, which I don't think we commented on this yet. The whole entire finale, 4 episodes, tied in with Revenge of the Sith like perfectly, scene by scene. You could they even used audio clips from Revenge of the Sith, so it was really cool. Overall, made characters better. Anakin, Darth Maul, essentially just Obi-Wan, all the main characters that are in the movies, it just made them better, added more complexity. Same thing, any character that's in the next episodes, like in Rebels, how you have Ahsoka and you have Rex there in the future episodes, kind of adds weight to know how their journey ended in the Clone Wars. And things we didn't like, again, wasted time with the sisters, a little bit of cheesy dialogue, but overall just too short. If they would have gave us more episodes, then it didn't matter that they wasted time with the sisters, because they could have just had more episodes overall to fill in those gaps that they wasted. And the cheesy dialogue, it's a kid's show at the end of the day that a bunch of adults watch, so I'm not complaining about that. Star Wars, we're not watching, this isn't Shakespeare, we don't care. This is like, just because there's a couple cheese lines honestly doesn't affect my score of this at all. And yeah, I would say that's over it overall. So let's give this a score out of 5. For me, it's going to be a 4 out of 5.
Yeah, I would say 4 out of 5 as well.
Yeah, I agree. Maybe like 3.75 just because of all the wasted time, but
yeah,
I think they definitely made up for it. I'm going to change it to 4 because they definitely made up for it with the last 4 episodes.
Yeah, and that's really all it is. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe. Let us know what you think. Really, comment whatever you think, if you disagree on anything, if you do agree on anything. Really would like to hear from you. So thanks for watching. Have a great day.
See you, Kings.